Oh man, I hope y'all are sitting down. I hope y'all are sitting down. What? No. Tell them we didn't order no damn pizza.
morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Clap your hands, clap, clap, clap. Stomp your feet, stomp, stomp, stomp. Spin around, spin, spin, spin. Alright. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Wash your hands, wash, wash, wash. Shake your hands, shake, shake, shake. Brush your teeth, brush, brush, brush. All right. Good morning.
Somebody's got a case of the Mondays. Oh my God. I have got some amazing news for you guys to inform you here this morning. Good morning, and that's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou. Live for you on YouTube today. Oh, man. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Hey, this is episode 49 of the morning show with Uncle Lou and BVD, which is a minor miracle, to be honest. We do this show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Don't forget about the night shows I do Tuesday and Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, Uncle Lou After Dark. Now, that's a college football show. So, you know, we take phone calls. It's 100% college football 100% of the time. So, I know a lot of you are only here so that me and BVD can regale you with these tales from the stupid that we do on the morning shows. And a lot of you don't care about college football. But if college football happens to be something maybe you're interested a little bit in, check out the nighttime shows. You'll be glad that you did. Yeah. Anyway, BVD will be joining us here. BVD will be joining us here in just a second. We hope. What am I doing? Let's get rid of that. No, let's keep that. Yeah, we need to keep that, though. What is that? No, keep that and 2. Oh. No wonder. Yeah, get rid of that and that, though. Get rid of that. What is this? Better get rid of that. Man, look how sad this looks. Yeah, good morning in that. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Yeah, did somebody order pizza?
What? Pizza? No!
Figured I'd beat you to the punch.
BVD, the trolls are undefeated.
They are, and will continue to remain so.
Yeah. Now, sometimes when you get trolled, all of your angst and ire can be directed at the troll. Sometimes you have to take some personal responsibility for the troll. Sir, you post your home address on every video you make.
Mm-hmm. I do.
What are you doing?
Hey, like I've said many times, what's the worst that could happen, right? Aside now from getting free pizza.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one under that roof, I would remind you.
No, the only one that matters.
Oh, damn.
Most days of the week.
Once they turn 18, they're on their own, huh?
No.
Oh.
Not referencing that one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That would be cool, Cassie. Cassie's going to send me a bag of shit by FedEx. By the way, I took my address down.
Is it going to be flaming?
That would be a trick.
You know, then you have to go out and stomp on it, that kind of thing.
Did that ever happen to you, Lou?
No, and I've never done that to anybody either. Have you?
No, I haven't.
The worst I did when we did do the knock and run thing when I was a kid, but we never did anything to the people. So, like, we just thought it was, we would knock on the door and then, like, literally hide in the bushes across the street and just watch the person come to the door and look around like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we thought that was the funniest thing. We didn't need to add the flaming pile of poop.
Were you the kid, were you the kid or one of the kids that, when they would go trick-or-treating and the people would leave a whole bowl of candy on the porch and say, please just take one, take the whole bowl?
I never took the whole bowl. Now, when it said please just take one, I probably would take 2 or 3, and then of course we would always circle back around to that house towards the end of the night. Now, listen, if it's getting to be I don't know, different people trick or treat different times or whatever, but let's say, I don't even remember, but let's say in my neighborhood by about 9:30 the trick or treating was dying down. We had to make that one last loop back to that house, and at that point, I mean, you might as well take what's in there. There's no one else coming. You can look up and down the street and say, well, that's it. So, I'm claiming this for Spain now, and you just dump the rest in your pillowcase.
Yeah, I just figured, lighten the people of their load. Who wants to come back home from a night on the town on Halloween and have to empty a bowl full of candy?
Right. It's like when you have a yard sale and you tote everything out of your house or your garage or whatever it is into your driveway and set it up, and then 1 or 2 o'clock the yard sale is over. The last thing you want to do is bring that crap back inside your house or your garage. I mean, by the time it gets about 11 o'clock at the garage sale over here, everything is free to good home.
Yeah. Fact.
Anyway, an interesting weekend on a lot of levels. But BVD, something very exciting happened yesterday.
What happened?
The calendar turned to March 1st. The hell is that noise?
It did.
And sir, you know what that means. I have some exciting news for you.
Let's have it.
Assuming, for all intents and purposes, that the college football offseason is January through August. I know that the national title game is in January and the New Year's Bowls, but and sometimes you have games the last week of August. But generally speaking, the offseason is January through August. Would you agree? That's what most people would consider the offseason to be, January through August. Sir, we are now officially 25% of the way through the off season. Let's go! Let's go! 25%! 1 out of 4! Let's go! 25% now! It will be here before you know it. What happened? Broke the damn headphones. Woo! 25%, buddy. We made it. March 1st, their off season is 25% of the way over. Your thoughts?
You know what's next, right? You know what comes after 25%?
26%.
Well, that too. SEC Media Days, spring practice. Spring practice is like a week away.
Well, depending on who you are. South Carolina started a few days ago. They've had 3 or 4 practices already. Not that it,
Yeah,
what does that matter?
They don't understand what the word spring means.
There's a lot of things they don't understand.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for winning the Super Bowl last year, though.
Mm-hmm.
That is important.
And for, I'm not going there. I'm going to be nice.
What do you think? What win do you think was more meaningless, but the fans treated it like it was something? Which was the biggest overreaction? In the end, we all know this doesn't matter, but the fans just went completely potato. South Carolina beating Georgia last year or Tennessee beating Georgia in 2016?
Georgia State beating Tennessee last year.
No, that win did mean something.
Nah, meaningless win. I'm taking the Uncle Lou approach. Any loss is a meaningless loss in a year that your team doesn't win a natty. Which for us,
that's the dumbest thing I've ever. I love when people say that we don't win a natty. Somebody like
That's
idiot
using
like
your
Florida
line of
tell you
thinking.
yeah. So according to Florida Fan, they've had 3 good seasons out of 120. Congratulations, you idiot. 3 good seasons out of 120.
I'm not in much of a position here to be picking on any other rival team of ours right now.
Of course you are.
Hey, Jabari Jones, Georgia State got their they got a bowl game last year. They weren't trash. You watch your mouth, mister.
Don't make BVD angry. You wouldn't like him when he was angry.
The Georgia State University.
Celine Driver's hungry this morning. Thanks for the super chat, though, sir. He says pizza sure would hit the spot right about now.
Well, we can do it.
You know, here's the thing. That and I don't know if the person that did that listens to this show too, or what the deal is. But here's the thing. There's various levels of trolling and various levels of trolls, and the thing is with what they did with ordering the pizza, that's not really trolling you, and that's the problem I have with something like that. That's trolling the pizza people had to drive out there and back, and they don't get compensated for that. You know.
Well,
you're wasting. You're really trolling someone else with that type of thing. And I even said in the comment section while you were at the door, explaining this to the pizza people. So I don't. And then of course you were pretty mad and just came back and ended the stream. But I even made some suggestions. Like, this would have been the thing to do if somebody wanted to do something like that, because you had your address listed, which was silly, but you did. The thing to do would have been to go to Amazon and order a bunch of pointless crap that cost $1. So you would have to spend some money, but not much. So like for $10, you could find 10 pointless items on Amazon that were $1 each. And if you're a Prime member, you get free shipping on Amazon. And you could have just sent a bunch of pointless crap to BVD's house. That would have been much funnier. And would have only trolled BVD. It wouldn't have wasted, because the mailman gets paid to deliver that package to BVD's house, whether he actually ordered it or not. In this case, these pizza drivers had to keep not only the pizza drivers, but the businesses that have to. I don't know what they. You worked at a pizza place. What happens with those pizzas? Maybe an employee takes them home. Either that or they get thrown away, right?
They normally either get eaten, like you said there, or they get thrown away.
Right. So it's just it's a, you know, you weren't really the one that was trolled. All you had was maybe a little bit of embarrassment. I don't know, what did you actually explain to the drivers that, listen, I'm a YouTuber, and you know, I thought it was a good idea to post my address in all my videos, and now people are ordering me pizza. Like, is that what you did?
I did. I explained to each of them that, you know, that I was live streaming and blah blah blah, and each one of them I tipped $5, so I at least made it worth their effort to come out there. And the last guy actually gave me the pizzas anyway. It sucked because they were nasty pizzas.
Yeah.
So in the future, if somebody's going to order me a pizza, damn it, make it a Meat Lovers or something I'll actually eat.
Yeah. So it just see, whoever did that. First of all, it was low level. It wasn't very.
Hey, look, Lou, listen.
Yeah.
The first time it happened, all right. The first when the Domino's guy got there, I laughed. I thought it was actually pretty damn funny. All right. Then the second guy came, and I'm like, all right, this guy's just an asshole at this point. When the third guy came, I was actually, I think I'd already stopped the stream because I pretty much knew there was a third guy coming, you know, at that point. And the only reason there wasn't a fourth and a fifth is because the other place in town closes on Sunday, and the other place doesn't deliver in town. They're a county establishment. And I actually think I know who did this. Not going to call them out in the case that I'm wrong. But I actually think I know who did this.
Waikiki makes an interesting point, and thank you for the super chat, Waikiki. If I would have thought of this prank, I would have actually paid for the pizzas. It still would have been funny.
That would have been great.
You still would have been live streaming. You still would have got a knock on your door that you were not expecting. And you know, I would have ordered like the worst pizza imaginable. Whatever that is, I don't know. I would have, you know, anchovies. Let me get anchovies, pineapple, and mushrooms, and that's it. Or something, whatever. I would have made up something completely disgusting, but I would have paid for the pizza so that you're not wasting the pizza people's time. And then that would have been funny. And then BVD has to come back and get on camera and say, oh, my God, somebody sent me a anchovy, pineapple, and mushroom pizza over here or something.
Yeah,
that would have been funny. But to call it in as a pay on delivery, like I said, you're really trolling the pizza people. And I don't know. I just I feel like somebody could have put a little bit more thought and effort into that, and it could have paid off a little bit more. If there's anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, by the way, which may be a few people, BVD was live streaming last night. He got a knock on his door. He goes to the door. Someone had ordered a pizza but had it sent to BVD's house. And they didn't pay for the pizza over the phone. They had it pay on delivery. And so BVD had to explain to this pizza guy, listen, I didn't order this pizza. I don't know what's going on. Then 10 minutes later, it happened again. And so then everyone knew what was going on. Somebody was sending a bunch of pizzas to his house. And it just, it wasn't really trolling BVD. I mean, I guess it kind of trolled you because you did get mad at the end. But still, the pizza people are the ones that are really out something here.
That's what
the problem
made me
I
so.
have.
That's what made me so mad, Lou.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I get it. It was funny, like I said, and it would have been super funny, and I would have played it up and enjoyed it had they just done it once. And I'm probably overreacting. I mentioned this last night because I get it. If you deliver pizza for a living, every time you get in your car and take off to deliver a pizza, technically you're risking your life or someone else's for getting in a wreck. That's a risk you take when you take that job. That was 3 unnecessary risks last night. And how would these people feel had one of those guys literally gotten in a wreck and killed somebody or killed a family or, whatever?
Yeah,
chances of that happening are very, very, very slim. I get it.
I can almost guarantee you that they wouldn't have cared.
I mean, you would like to think that. I don't know. Mr. and Mrs. Karma are some mean mofos. We all know that. So hopefully, whoever did this will.
The main reason I'm mad is because I feel like an opportunity was wasted here. Like I said, there are things people could have done to troll along these same lines that would have been much, much funnier and would not have negatively affected anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have thought of the Amazon idea before this whole pizza. It would have been hilarious. Can you imagine, BVD, if you come home from the gas station and there's just a package on your door, and in the package is like 14 things of chapstick, a cat toy.
That would be hilarious.
Just 14 pointless items. Like if I'd have thought of that, I gladly would have spent $15 or $20 just ordering pointless crap on it. Because I'm a Prime member, I get free shipping, so I can order a tube of chapstick for $1, and it doesn't matter to me that it cost the mailman $3 to deliver it. I don't pay the shipping on that, so I just pay.
Right.
I pay $1, you get the chapstick. I pay another $1, you get a cat toy. I pay another $1, you get one plastic cup, whatever. That would be funny. And that's really why I'm mad, because I feel like an opportunity was missed here. I'm mad at myself, really.
Well, you have my address, so there's always a later date you can take that opportunity up.
Yeah.
You could send like I don't know. There's any number of things somebody, like you said, could send worthless items.
You watch some of these bigger YouTubers like I do. It's funny to watch some of their openings that, a lot of them have P.O. boxes and stuff, and maybe they go like, I don't know, once a month or something, and they just bring home all these,
right,
100 packages or something, and they'll sit there and open them, and some of the stuff they get, you're just like, why would somebody send him that or whatever?
Yep.
It is pretty funny. Anyway, Yeah, so we're 25% of the way through the offseason, and it's flying by, in my opinion. Like you said, spring practice, if it's not already here for your team, it will be here very, very soon. Georgia starts up in a couple of weeks. When does Tennessee start? About the same time?
The 10th.
Oh, okay, so a week and a half, really, for
Yeah.
Tennessee. Georgia probably, I don't know the exact date Georgia starts, but it's probably around that same time. So we got that coming up. NFL draft after that. The dead months really is like May and June. There's just that's really May and June to me is like the only true dead period in college football. There's not a whole lot going on. It's too early for fall camp. The kids aren't even on campus for the most part because school is out, and so they're back home or whatever. And those are the months where, like, every morning when you get up, you're scared to check your team's news site because you, generally speaking, if you see any information about any players on your team in May or June, it's not good news.
Well, it's already started for Georgia and Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's up with that guy y'all had? I didn't recognize his name, but
didn't even read it.
It said he started 6 games and played in all 13 or something. Was he supposed to start this year? Do you know?
I honestly didn't even read it. I briefly saw somebody tweeted about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know who it was.
Very professional.
I'm so numb to that shit now.
Yeah.
It's you almost expect it, and as long as it's not a huge name, I don't even care at this point anymore because I know somebody's gonna fill me in. As some Georgia video maker or or whatever is going to make a video about it at some point, and I can just watch that instead.
Well, I don't know if I'm numb to it. I guess depending on maybe exactly what happened, and obviously who it is matters too. If it's a walk-on or a 4th-string that you know is not going to play, yes, it's hard to be as upset or whatever. And some of the smaller stuff, like last year we had a couple of guys that were just caught with marijuana. Not like 5 pounds where they're selling it. I mean, they just had a little baggie of weed or something. Like, it's hard to I wish they wouldn't do that, but I don't know what percentage of kids on Georgia's campus are smoking weed, but I'm gonna guess it's over 50%. Just so. And like we had a guy, it seems like every year we get somebody that's caught driving without a license, and that one, again, it's not like that makes someone some sort of career criminal or whatever. It just seems like those are the types of things that would be so easy to avoid.
That's the type of shit.
What are you doing?
That's the type of shit that clutters up jails, and like you said, it's something so easy to avoid. Like if you're driving on a suspended license, whatever. First of all, why are you doing that? Second of all, almost every person you see, and I'm pretty sure, I think you said you watch Live PD. All these people that get busted for this either have a headlight out or a tail light out, or they're driving without their seatbelt. They're giving the cops a reason to pull them over.
Right.
Almost every time. And so
Right.
that's what doesn't make me angry by any stretch, but I just find it amazing that people overlook shit like that when they know they're driving illegally.
Yeah, and listen, me and you both have made our fair share of mistakes too. So I'm not judging these people or saying they're bad players or bad humans or anything like that. It's just and listen, I don't make it when something I consider to be an actual sign of somebody being a bad person happens, I'm pretty quick to say it. I mean, the Holloman thing, I didn't want him on the team after that. It sucked for Georgia as a football team that he got kicked off, but that was unacceptable what he did.
Mm-hmm.
That was inexcusable. That's not forgetting to put your seatbelt on or forgetting to renew your license or being from out of state and not knowing that your Florida license expired, so it's no good in whatever. What he did was completely unacceptable. And so, you have to be able to draw a distinction between something like what he did and, caught with a blunt or even driving on a suspended license is just a stupid mistake, but it's a mistake. It's not an indication, that you're going to be robbing banks in 5 years. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's like in the comments, Cassie says, nothing wrong with smoking the reefer. Well, yeah, there is in places where it's illegal. I mean, I get it. I smoked weed for years. Generally, if all a person ever does is smoke weed, and I'm not condoning smoking weed here, so don't misunderstand me. Generally, if that's all a person does in their life, you're good, And it is legal in most places now, and I've always said and thought that it will be legal everywhere before too much longer. But it's just not smart. I mean, especially some of these guys that have millions of dollars at stake. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were a football player for Georgia and you felt 99% comfortable you were going to get drafted by the NBA or the NFL and not even starting, just getting drafted, would you be smoking weed? I wouldn't.
Right. And the thing is, because I don't want it to seem like I'm totally making excuses for the ones that do that. Like, I agree they shouldn't do it. The only point I'm making is that when somebody gets caught with it, I don't then look at them as, oh, well, that's a bad person, or
right,
they're going to be in prison in 3 years or whatever. But the thing is, you in life, there are rules. Forget laws for a second. There's just rules, and you don't have to like them or agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
Cussing is not against the law, but go to work and tell your boss to fuck off.
Yeah. And Cassie, I'm not ragging you either, Cassie. I wasn't. I wasn't getting on your ass. I was just pointing it out. I don't have a problem with smoking weed.
You'll be looking for a new job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and you can say all you want. Oh, I believe, I think I should be able to speak my mind and say what I want. You can think that, and you can think that you should be able to smoke weed, but as long as there are laws or rules or whatever against it, you have to play within those rules, or you just have to accept the consequences, And
Absolutely.
And it does seem like, I don't know. It just seems like you could use like you can't. You don't want to. It's easier to learn something when, like, my kids all the time will say, I'll do something and they'll say, well, that's not fair. I don't know. We make a joke about that here on the Auburn thing, but like I'll take their phone away for whatever they do or something. I say, give me your phone. You can have it back in an hour. And they'll, oh, that's not fair. And I'll tell them the same thing. I said, listen, life is not fair. It's better you learn that now. Better you learn that life is not fair by me taking your cell phone away for an hour than you learn it when you're 20 years old and you get fired from some job or whatever, kicked out of school or whatever about something you think's not fair. It doesn't matter if something is fair.
What's the
rules.
What's the most recent thing, if you can even think of it, that you've been trying to teach your kids? I know that's kind of an off-the-wall question.
Lou
but
Jr. lately, and this is something that has only really developed maybe over the last year. And first of all, both my kids are very well behaved. They're good kids. They never get in trouble at school. They both make all A's and B's, sometimes all A's, but always all A's and B's. Like, they're great kids. But lately, the few things that Lou Jr. does do wrong, like, I'll tell him to clean his room, and then in 30 seconds he comes out in the den and he'll say, "Room's clean," and
yeah.
I'm just, come on, I know it's not clean, and so I started telling him, now if I have to tell you twice, you're losing something for an hour, But he, this is something that has developed recently. He, it's a million excuses for everything, But this, but that. Well, Sissy did this, and you didn't do that, and this and that, and but this and but that. And I'm telling, listen, when you do something wrong, whatever it is, no matter how big or how small, apologize, take responsibility, and move on. It's just a lot easier that way. The more you fight it and make excuses, because I'll sit there and tell him, if you say one more word and it's going to be 2 hours, and he can't stop. He's like, okay, 2 hours. No, but okay, 3 hours. No, okay, 4 hours, and it on and on and on. And so I'm trying to teach him now. Listen, I know that to you, cleaning your room is it's not a felony. It's not a huge deal, but it's the point that if you know you have to do something, just do it. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid. He used to tell me this all the time, and I don't know. Maybe I don't remember enough lessons that I was taught when I was a kid, but this is one that always has stuck with me. You have to do the things you have to do if you want to be able to do the things you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I try to pass that on to my kids too. And I tell them, one of the things you have to do is clean your room. That's it. It takes 5 or 10 minutes. But if you want to go outside and ride your bike, if you want to sit on the iPad, if you want to play video games, if you want to go jump on the trampoline, if you want to go down the street to grandma's house, whatever, you can. But first, you have to do the things you have to do. Then you can do what you want to do. And the longer you sit here and argue with me about it, you're just delaying. It's just going to be that much longer before you get to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it sinks in after a while. Like with my daughter, I don't even have to tell her anymore. She comes home from school. She gets 30 or 45 minutes to do nothing, get a snack, watch TV, whatever. But then before she does anything else, she has to clean her room and unload the dishwasher or load the dishwasher, depending on the state of the dishes at the time. And Lou Jr., same thing. He has to come home. He gets 30 or 45 minutes for a snack or whatever it is he wants to do. Then he has to clean his room, and then he has to take the trash out every day. And it's about to the point now where I don't even have to remind him. But, sometimes I do. But I don't know. This excuse making.
You're a tyrant.
No.
You're a tyrant on those kids.
Stop it. Listen. No. Those kids.
You mean to tell me, Lou, that you take their phone away for an hour? What's wrong with you?
I try. Sometimes I try. I've taken I've gone in his room before and taken the controllers to his PlayStation. My God.
Oh, man.
You would think I reached down his throat and took his lungs out.
Dad, whoop me. Just whoop my ass. I mean, I know they're not going to say ass, but I'd rather have, I did get my ass whooped when I was a kid. I don't know if your parents, were spankers or not, but there wasn't any grounding in my house when I was a kid. Grounding was just a waste of time. My stepdad tried it.
The other thing I've been trying to do with both of them, and I haven't, this is something it's been harder for me to do, but is like, and I think, I don't know, maybe I don't really know how to go about it. Maybe they're not really old enough yet. I don't know, but teaching them the value of things, like the value of money or,
specifically money.
Like, I don't want to say they're spoiled, but they, they're close.
I mean,
they're close, and
they probably are. Just you being their parent, you don't want to admit it. My kid was spoiled. I mean, there's no question about it.
There's been times with each of them where either maybe they lost something or they broke something, or even can't find something. But I know it's not lost. Like it's 100%. It's in their room. It's not lost. You just don't want to look for it. And they almost have this mentality of, we'll just buy another one. And some of that is our fault and grandparents' faults and things like, my daughter cracked the screen on her cell phone one time, and I was of the opinion I think she should keep the cracked cell phone. It still worked.
Yeah.
But she's got to learn. She doesn't like, these cell phones are $800 or $900, the full price. Now, people don't usually buy their phones that way. They do it through a contract and pay monthly or whatever the case. But the value of a cell phone is $800-$900. You crack one, well, you have a cracked phone. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But in that particular case, what happened is they all have iPhones. You know, I have a real phone, but they all have iPhones, and their mother's parents both have iPhones. So that's 5 people with iPhones. So there's always an extra one. And so that was the case when my daughter cracked the screen on her phone. She was given right away. You know, it's not like we didn't go out and buy her a new phone. No one did, but she was given, I think it was her opa, her grandfather or something, had got a new phone a couple of months prior and still had his old one type of thing, so gave her the old one. So it's not like we actually went out and bought her a new phone, but I still was of the opinion, like, we should make her use that cracked phone, even if it's for a month. I know she's not going to like it. That's the point.
How'd that turn out?
Oh, she got the phone. That was it. I was into it.
Yeah.
She got the phone.
Well, the biggest thing I'm working on with my daughter right now, and to me, one of the most critical things is saving. I try to use myself I do use myself as the example all the time. You got to learn how to save money. You just have to. And I can't get it through her head. She's just like me. I'll do it later, you know. And I'm sure she's thinking in the back of her head somewhere, I've got the rest of my life to start saving money. Right now, with this paycheck, I need to get my hair done, you know, or whatever. And that just drives me nuts. And now I totally get it with my parents, because I was the same damn way. Well, my dad, I grew up in a split home. My dad was he was a terrible influence. Fortunately, I wasn't around him very much. I know that sounds crazy to say, but I mean, he was just super negative. I'll never forget when I told him after my mom passed away that I was going to go back to college. You know, first thing out of his mouth, well, why would you want to do that? Yeah, thanks for the pep talk, Dad. You know, thanks for the encouragement. So I try to always be positive with her. And, you know, my daughter, she's a great kid, but I knew at an early age college wasn't going to be it for her.
Yeah.
Too much like me. So, you know, for years now, I've been trying to get her to save money. You can't make them. You know, she's an adult now. She's almost 20 years old. I can't throw her over my knee and spank her like I used to when she was little.
Speaking of that, Waikiki, thank you for the super chat. He says, what's the stance on spankings? I spanked mine when they were very little. I don't remember. It wasn't like I said, okay, at this such and such age, I'm gonna stop. I just I think once they're old enough, if the point of spanking them is to teach them a lesson or to change behavior or something like that, if that's the goal, then it was just my opinion that once they hit a certain age, that goal was more easily achieved through other means. I'm not against spanking across the board. Like, you know, I'm not one of these people that just says you should never spank your kids. You know, you should never, there's, you know, the list of obvious things. I would never hit my kids with a belt. I know that used to be acceptable or whatever, so I'm not judging anybody who was raised that way or has raised their kids that way. I'm just saying I would spank them on the bottom.
Punishment needs to fit the crime.
It never left a mark. You know, I never pulled their pants down. I just would pop them on the butt, and they knew what that meant. But if the goal of that, and that's, I do think that's what the goal is. The goal of spanking shouldn't be to hurt them. It's, you know, physically. It should be to change behavior. You know, you did something wrong. I'm spanking you so that you won't do it again. That's what I think the goal should be. And it just, in my opinion, each of them got to an age at some point where that goal was more easily achieved another way. Taking a cell phone away, taking a PlayStation controller away, whatever they loved at that particular moment, whatever it happened to be, whatever toy was their favorite at a certain age, I realized that taking that away for an hour, for a day, whatever, was more effective than popping them on the butt. And so that's when I stopped spanking, you know. So, but again, that could be different for everybody. And if somebody wants to tell me they spanked their kids until they were 13, that's you know, it's on you. I'm not judging it. I'm not judging that. You know?
What about school? For me, I grew up in a county school here. The bus driver had a paddle. That's how acceptable it was for corporal punishment. I've had my ass beat with a paddle on the bus before. And we had one lady in first grade. The way our school was, had a hallway going down the middle. You had the first four grades on the left, the second four grades on the right. First grade was right across the hall from eighth grade. This teacher would take the kid that was in trouble out in the middle of the hallway, knock on the door of the room across the hall, open the door, and let the other class watch her paddle the shit out of this kid. So there was pain and humiliation involved there. And it worked. You usually never saw a kid get two paddlings by that teacher. But now, if you try to do that now, oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah. There was spankings when I was coming up. I specifically remember in elementary school there being paddlings, we called them. You know, the principal had the paddle or whatever. Now, at some point while I was in school, that went away. I don't remember when that was, but it's not like that's not something that here anyway that just went away within the last year or two. That the whole spanking at school thing went away here a long time ago. But when I was in elementary school, I never got paddled or spanked, but it happened. I knew people that, it and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think even when I was in elementary school and paddlings were allowed, it was only with parental permission. You know how with first day of school there's a bunch of forms your parents fill out? One of the forms was, can we beat your child? Or whatever. That was one of the forms back then.
We didn't have those where I went to school. There were no forms.
Yeah.
At least that I'm aware of.
And now I will say that I am 100% against that. I don't think anybody should hit a kid for any reason other than their mother or their father. And whoever, maybe maybe you give permission to a grandparent or whatever, but
What about step parents? Because I have a very strong stance on that one. What do you think about that?
I don't have a well, first of all, I don't have any direct experience with that. So, I never had a step parent. But I don't think that I have a stance on that one way or the other. I think maybe that's a decision that should be made on a per case basis between the mother and the father. I do think both should agree. So in other words, if a parent is separated, right, and mom is remarried, I think mom should talk to the real dad before stepdad is spanking the kids. And I think it should be agreed upon. Now, the problem is, of course, generally speaking, people get divorced for a reason, and the idea that they then can come together and have a civil conversation and come to an agreement on something as serious as discipline, maybe that can't happen. But ideally, I think that's how it should happen.
Yeah, I grew up a step kid.
I don't think I would want if. I don't think I would want a stepdad spanking either of my kids.
I don't think I doubt you would either, and that's the way I was. My dad told me once my mom got remarried, son, if he ever lays a hand on you, you make sure you call me and I'll be there to beat his ass immediately. Which he was full of shit. My dad wasn't coming to see me for nothing when I was a kid, but my stepdad never. The closest he ever came to putting a hand on me was he was trying to teach me something in math in like sixth grade, and I just wasn't getting it. And he got frustrated, and he took his index finger and pointed at me and poked me right in the chest a couple of times. And that's it. So I adopted the same principles when I was a step parent. I never laid a hand on the kids, never even considered it, and I told my first wife as much. I said, I don't care what you say, I'm not whooping your kid, I'm not doing it. And my second wife, she was all for it. She thought she should be allowed to discipline my daughter. And I said, you can discipline her all you want to, just don't put hands on her. And so that ended up being a little bit of an issue for us.
It's kind of funny that this topic has come up today. Now, I'll tell you why in a second. But Shane Bentley, thank you for the super chat. He says, props to BVD and Uncle Lou for having some deep conversations. In all seriousness, I agree with you. Our kids need to learn responsibility. My generation is spoiled. Celine Driver, thank you for the super chat. He says, so which is easier, boys or girls? I say boys, way less drama. There's other reasons, but I don't want to start a riot. I mean, I think it's well, I think it kind of depends on the situation, but like there are certain things that like I know Mrs. Lou needs to deal with my daughter on, and I think we don't even have to say them. I'm not going to talk about those types of things about my daughter on YouTube. I think everyone is mature enough to understand what I mean, but like, so there are certain conversations I would never have with my daughter, you know. But so I think for me, maybe that makes it easier with a boy, you know. So
yeah, I definitely think there's pros and cons to each. And speaking of that thing that you're not going to speak of, I had that happen with my stepdaughter. We were on a church trip, and what I think you're thinking about actually happened while we were out of town, and my wife wasn't with me. Fortunately, there were some very nice ladies there with the church group that handled that, so I didn't have to.
right,
That was, oh my God. Can you imagine?
yeah, no, I can't.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine me trying to smooth that one over? But somebody mentioned back up in the comments when Celine Driver asked that question, said boys are easier or girls are difficult because you have to worry about every. And that's true. You'll never have to worry about your son coming home pregnant. That's the way a lot of people look at it. But if you teach your kids right from wrong, Lou, and they're good kids, chances are they're not going to come home and say, Daddy, I'm pregnant.
Well, in theory, but me and you have talked
In
about
theory.
this way before we started this show. We used to just talk on the phone about this, but and every parent in the comment section will know what we mean, but it doesn't really matter. Good parent, bad parent, greatest parent ever, whatever. Eventually, your child is going to make a mistake, do something wrong, whatever,
Yep.
and you are going to blame yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That is. I was joking around last night, but I went to the grocery store. And I didn't know. I was walking up the aisles, and I was like, oh, I don't know if we need coffee or not. And I said, I'm just going to get some. I don't want to take the chance, you know. And I came back home, and I was telling Mrs. Lou that. And I said, you know, I've gotten to a good place in life where, honestly, right now, my biggest fear is waking up in the morning and we're out of coffee. And I was joking, but I mean, I sort of meant it. Like, I'm in a good, you know, I've just, things are going well for me right now. And that's hasn't always been the case. And that's not all, you know, everybody has periods of ups and downs or whatever. But the point is, I don't know what that had to do with it, but no matter how good of a parent you are, whenever your kid makes a mistake, whether it's something as simple as a bad grade on a test, God, why didn't I study with them more, you know? When they start driving and they get a speeding ticket, I didn't, you know, why didn't I, you know, emphasize more, you know, how important it is to obey the traffic laws and blah, blah, blah. Anything your child ever does wrong, you will blame yourself when you're a parent. And that's a hard thing to live with. But I think every parent feels that way to some degree. Now, you know, eventually your kids aren't technically kids. They're 30, 35, 40. But breaking news, I made plenty of mistakes in my 30s, and every single time my parents felt responsible to some level, I'm sure, because I have kids now, and I can imagine, you know, that you never, you always, you view everything through the lens of I should have done more. Like I said, whatever it is, a bad grade, a speeding ticket, whatever. Why didn't I You know, why didn't I spend more time teaching them about this or teaching them about that? Or maybe they grow up and they can't, you know, they're terrible with money. And you're like, this is my fault. I spoiled them. I should have made them get their own account when they were 13 and learn how to manage it and blah, blah, blah. Just anything they do, you blame yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not real sure how to say this, but it's like there's a million things as a parent that can happen that would cause you to say, that's my fault. You know, I failed. But there's very few, it seems like, where when the kid does something good that you pat yourself on the back and say, well, I did a good job as a parent. I don't know if it's like that for you.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, yeah, because
you should be a good parent, and you should, yeah.
You're so protective over your kids just by nature, and you want them to exceed and excel, and you know, that's why, you know, these people put their bumper stickers on the car. My kid made the honor roll, and everyone makes fun of it, and I don't do that, but I understand how that became so popular. Like, I get, as a parent, like, I get why that was such a huge thing for such a long period of time. So, yeah, when they come home and they have all A's, I'm quick to call my dad and say, look how smart he is. You know, look how smart, you know, Lou Jr. is so smart. He made all A's. But then when they do something wrong, you're exactly right. It's not his fault. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Like, you want to protect, you want them to get all the credit for everything good they do, but you want to make sure people know, well, yeah, he did this or this, but, you know, that was because I didn't do this or this or whatever. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's like a psychological mind.
That's a pretty good barometer for a parent as to whether or not you're doing an acceptable job, in my opinion. I mean, I know there's some parents out there that they don't give a shit one way or the other. I did my part, you know, I planted the seed. Yeah, I've met plenty of people like that, and those people are just, I mean, pretty much useless bags of flesh walking around.
Justin in the comment section says, if I met my 14-year-old self today, I'd slap the hell out of me. I think everyone, like, you know, everybody, if they could, would go back to a certain point in their life, right? And just be like, what are you doing, dude? Stop. Or, you know, I think everybody can sort of understand that feeling there. Slim Shady, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, love the conversation, Lou and BVD. My daughter is 3, and I worry about a lot of this stuff already. Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Slim, but it doesn't get easier.
No, you're just getting started, buddy.
It doesn't. Yeah, the problems become far more significant as they get older.
If it makes you feel any better whatsoever, Slim Shady, one thing in life you'll never run out of when you have kids are reasons to worry. You'll never run out of those.
Hendrick 588, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Good to see you in here. Thank you for the super chat. He says, you know what we need? A collaboration between the morning show and the Pat McAfee show. Combine my two favorites. Appreciate the kind words, Hendrick. Pat McAfee. What is that? A radio show? I know that name, but what is that? Who is that?
Yeah, I know that name too, but
is that a radio show or one of these, like,
I think it's a TV show.
Yeah,
I think
there's a lot of TV shows on in the morning on these sports channels that are quasi radio show. Well, kind of like this one. Like this show could be on the radio. There's no reason anyone needs to watch it. And a lot of radio shows are broadcast, like on ESPN.
Feinbaum, prime example.
Feinbaum, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's one of those type of shows because I know that name.
Mike and Mike, I think, was the original.
Yeah, Mike and Mike
show that started out on radio and went to TV.
Yeah, I actually liked Mike and Mike too. I wish they wouldn't have broke those guys up.
Yeah, I did too. Golick and Greenwood, right?
Golick and Wingo.
No, I mean, that was Mike and Mike's last names.
Oh,
Mike Golick and Mike Greenwood.
Greenberg,
okay. Yeah. Green something.
Yeah.
McAfee was Colts punter.
Mike Golick, of course, went to Notre Dame. He talks about it all the time, and then his kids went there. Where did Mike Greenberg go, sir?
That is a fine question that I'm sure you already know or someone else can answer because I do not.
It's one of those prestige. I think it's Northwestern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Northwestern.
That's a question I'll never have to worry about answering when I get older. So, BBD, where'd your daughter go to college? I'll never be saddled with that one.
Well, I do think obviously college is can be a huge benefit to people, but I do think that there is I think the idea I think kids today are made to feel like they have to go to college, like a 4-year university, and if you don't, you're somehow less than somebody that does.
Yeah, there's millions and millions of people out there that never went a day of school past high school
Yeah.
that are just
And they do
fine. I
just
mean,
fine. I mean, I get the idea that overall, like if you took everyone that went to college and then everyone that didn't, probably a higher percentage of people that went to college are successful and maybe worth more or whatever as a whole than everyone that didn't. But that's because included in that group of people that didn't go to college are, everybody from dropouts to people who never get a job to whatever. But like you said, there are plenty of people. Somebody's got to come and fix your heat and air when it goes out. And there's nothing wrong with those types of trades.
no,
There's
not at all.
nothing wrong with that. Welders, plumbers, electricians. I mean, there's literally a million things I could name. Insurance agents. You don't have to have a college degree to sell life insurance or health insurance or whatever, homeowners insurance or car insurance. I mean, you need those people around.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
somebody's got to fry your fries and deliver your pizza.
Even that.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not someone should be 50 years old and raising a family by delivering pizzas, that's a different argument. But the idea that you have to go to college, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Even 25 years ago, when I was in high school, you were made to feel like, listen, you have to go to college. If you don't, you're not going to be successful. Like, you're just made. And there are certain, and I'm trying to say this in a way where it doesn't come off bad, and instead of trying to figure that, I'm just going to say it. But there are just certain people that college is not for them.
Yeah.
It's just not. And that's okay if they go on to do something, 2-year tech school, whatever, real estate agent. You don't have to have a college degree to be a real estate agent. There are real estate agents who are multimillionaires, and there's plenty more that earn 6 figures a year. I mean, you can make a lot of money, so
Well,
you don't have to go to college.
Dare I even say it, Lou? YouTube. Wouldn't suggest it. Would never try and encourage my kid or kids to pursue a career in YouTube, but that is an option in this day and age.
Yeah.
I mean, even just a few years ago, 5 years ago, people would laugh at you, and so there's all kinds of options out there. I don't even. You mentioned the the pizza delivery as a way for a person to take care of their family. I don't even have a problem with that, man, because there are places out there like these guys in my buddy Greg's in here this morning. There's guys in Pigeon Forge in that area that make a fine living delivering pizza. Now, again, you wouldn't want to encourage anybody to do that. You wouldn't want to encourage your kid to be a damn stripper, but strippers make good money. I mean, if you think about it and you put enough thought into it and dig deep enough into the recesses of your brain, you can come up with an excuse, I guess, if you want to call it, for anybody doing anything for a living, as long as you're doing something. If you're able to.
Yeah, I would be lying, I think, if I didn't say that. Like right now, I hope that when that time comes, my kids make the choice to go to college.
Right.
I hope that's what they do, but it's not the end of the world if for whatever reason they choose another path. And I don't, at least I hope, I don't make them feel like that's their only option in life, college or poverty. Like I just sort of feel like too many people are made to feel that way. There are plenty of other options out there.
Yeah.
Besides college. The thing I try to instill in them, and I tell them this all the time. I don't tell them nearly enough as I should. But I tell them, you can do anything. You can do anything, you can be anything, but you have to work for it. You cannot count on anybody giving you anything. You have to be willing to go out there and take it, whatever it is. Whatever it is. And that's true even if you have listen, there's lawyers that make $40,000 a year, and there's lawyers that make $400,000 a year. Just because having a piece of paper that says you went to college for 4 years doesn't guarantee you a successful life. Just like not going to college doesn't guarantee that you'll be living in the poorhouse forever. There are no guarantees. Whatever path you decide to take, whatever you decide to do, put everything you have into it, and be the best. Whatever you are, be the best one. If you're bagging groceries at Publix, be the best bagger there.
Yeah.
I mean, make that your goal. Be the best bagger there. If you're delivering pizzas, be the best pizza delivery driver in your city. Whatever it is.
And I guess as an answer to vodka drinker here, I didn't say that strippers are like these great humans, or as he puts it, forlorn gems that are trying to raise kids. The vast majority are just, I won't say the word, but you can read it there. I was just trying to make an example. I knew I would catch some shit from somebody. Even Celine Driver mentioned it, that they're all on drugs and drunks. That's not true. I mean, they've got a bad reputation, I guess, for a reason. I was just trying to make a point that, anything, what you just basically said, you can do anything, and you can even be great at it. And damn it, I'm not suggesting women be strippers. That's not what I meant. Knew I shouldn't have said that, but anyway.
I like that. I think it's Chris Rock, an old stand-up routine. Is it Chris? I think it's Chris Rock. It's old stand-up routine, and he's talking about the responsibilities of being a dad. And he has this whole 20-minute routine that he does on it, but he keeps getting back to the same point of if you have a daughter, as a dad, your number one responsibility in life is to keep her off the pole. If you can keep your daughter off the pole, you have been a successful father.
Yep. Some might ask the question, which pole? My answer would be both.
Yeah. Waikiki, thank you for the super chat, sir. He's going to tell us about Pat McAfee. He says he's on YouTube, just like our show. He was the punter for the Colts, kicker for West Virginia. He's also a commentator for Game Day and does some games. Okay. Slim Shady, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, life lesson, kids. I'm a high school dropout, and now I almost make six figures a year. Hard work pays off. There is literally no decision. I short of maybe killing somebody, there's not really a decision you can make under the age of 18 that will permanently handicap you. You can make plenty of mistakes, whatever they are. You can choose hundreds of different paths under the age of 18. None of them are going to predestine you to be a failure. You like Slim said, there's people that drop out for a variety of reasons. Some of them drop out because they're, whatever. You don't know anyone's, some people drop out because they got to go to work. They have no choice. because of their circumstances or whatever the case.
Yep.
You know, are there people that drop out for wrong reasons? Of course. But like I said, even that doesn't prohibit you from, going on and making something of yourself, being successful, whatever you define that to be, whether that's financially or whatever.
I guess the bottom line to all of this is ultimately, in the end, if you're happy with whatever you're doing and your family is happy and taken care of, I guess the rest doesn't really even matter. Because, in the end, we don't have, we have one person to answer to, depending on what you believe, and we won't get into that, but none of us have to please anybody else. And I'm my own worst critic. So if a person can be happy in their own skin, then I think they're doing pretty well.
Boxers R Us, good morning, sir, and thank you for the super chat. He's heard a rumor. There's a rumor going around that you can now order pizza from this show. Or do I have it confused with another venue? You want to take that one?
I don't even know what he's talking about, Lou. Don't have the foggiest idea.
Don't have the foggiest.
Mm-hmm.
BVD. Go ahead.
I guess technically a person can order a pizza from anywhere on earth now, if you got a phone. Don't even have to have a phone number. All you got to have is an app or, a phone.
There's an app for that.
There's an app for having an app, probably.
Wait till that troll that did that yesterday to you discovers Uber Eats. Imagine what you might get then.
Yeah, believe me, I've already thought about that.
I think with Uber Eats you have to pay up front.
There's several of those now.
I don't think there's a pay on delivery thing for Uber Eats, but let's get back to something we were touching on earlier. There's been a lot of times we've talked about Netflix and things that we've seen lately on there, and it seems like everybody is always looking for the next show that they can watch on Netflix or whatever, and everybody always says the same. I've seen them all. I've seen that, and you're always looking for something new.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a documentary this weekend on Netflix. It's 7 or 8 episodes long. It's called The Trial of Gabriel Fernandez. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
Very few things in life, it may not seem this way, but very few things in life make me so mad that I feel like I have to do something. And I'm using this purely as an example. I really don't want to bring this up as a debate because it has nothing to do with what I really want to talk about. It's just the best way I can think of to make an example here. These school shootings, that makes me mad.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't called a congressman. I haven't sent a letter. I haven't donated money to any particular cause or whatever. And that makes me pretty mad, these school shootings. But I've never done any. It's never made me so mad where I actually did something. And maybe that, maybe I should. I don't know. But anyway, the trials of Gabriel Fernandez. Is there anybody in the comment section that has seen this?
I was writing it down so I can look into that later.
It's a true story, obviously. It's a documentary, so it's real. It's not actors. It's the real people. Anyway, it's California somewhere, and there's this kid, Gabriel Fernandez is his name. He's 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he is abused by his parents, by his mother and her boyfriend. And we all have heard stories. Maybe we even know somebody or whatever. This will make you so mad. I don't think there's a person alive who can watch this show and not stand up afterwards off of their couch or their chair or whatever. And I almost wished I knew somebody who was beating their child after I watched this show so that I could go do something to them. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. In fact, if anybody suffered any type of abuse or whatever as a child, I wouldn't even recommend you watch this. But the worst things that you've ever heard stories about was done to this kid. Kept in a locked box all the time. Parents shot him in the face with a BB gun. Beaten with a baseball bat. It's the worst thing. I've never seen anything like it. But what made me so mad is that literally everyone in this kid's life knew what was going on with him. And some tried to help. Some looked the other way. A lot did the bare minimum that they were legally required to do. His teacher, DFACS was involved with this family for years and didn't do their job. It was so bad. BVD, they ended up killing him, the kid.
Jesus.
And
the parents.
They beat him to death. And the boyfriend was charged with first-degree murder with torture added as a special circumstance so that they could go after the death penalty. This was so bad, BVD. 6 social workers were arrested and charged with neglect or something. So many people knew what was going on and had a chance. Some had an obligation to do certain things, and the documentary covers a 2 or 3 year period, and I'm not lying, BVD. There were 20 or 25, 30, 40, 50 things that happened within that 2 or 3 year period where if just one person would have done right by this kid, he would still be alive. But at every opportunity, people dropped the ball,
When did this happen?
He was killed in 2013. The trials were in 2016 and 2017, and the documentary is out now on Netflix. It's called The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. But it will make you, if there's somebody that watches that and they're not mad after they watch it, I would question that person's humanity. But like the teacher, his teacher, BVD, this kid was 8 years old. He was 4'2", 57 pounds. The boyfriend was 6'4", 270 pounds. Admitted, so this is probably not the real numbers, admitted to punching him in the face 10 times and punching him in the body 20 times. Hit him in the mouth with a baseball bat, knocked all his teeth out. 8 years old. 8 years old.
What the hell's wrong with people, man?
They kept him in a box in the parents' bedroom, this wooden. It looked like an entertainment center, the type of thing you would put a TV on top of, and it had two doors on the front that folded out, and each one of the doors had a handle on it. They kept him in that box, and they would handcuff the door handles so he couldn't get out. When he died, the only thing in his stomach was cat litter.
I don't know if I can watch that.
It is the worst thing I have ever seen. It will make you so mad. The teacher, they interviewed a teacher, and she was like, he would come to school, and she's like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It didn't seem real. Both of it, there would be no whites in his eyes. Both, all, bloodshot, black-eyed, busted lip, chunks of his scalp missing out of his head. They would shave his head as punishment. But, of course, he didn't want to have his head shaved, so the boyfriend would have to hold him down and then shave his head with a razor, and it was taking chunks of skin out of his head. He would come to school with cuts and scabs and, bleeding from his head. And the teacher was just like, I couldn't believe it. So, of course, she's a mandated reporter, and so they have these policies in place. There's this number she has to call. So she kept calling this number. And she kept, the caseworker, whoever it was, would answer the phone. The teacher would file a report. The caseworker would say, okay, we'd look into it. Kid would come to school the next week, beat up again. It got so bad the kid had to ask the teacher to stop reporting. Please stop doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah, stop it. You're making it worse.
Yeah, every time you do it, it's getting worse for me. The social worker was dropping the ball. She wasn't even going out there and checking on the kid, At one point, the teacher starts, the teacher keeps him after school one day and is asking him, what's going on? You got to tell me, blah, blah, blah. The principal comes in, tells the teacher, no, you can't do that. That's considered investigating. We're not allowed to investigate. We just observe and report. We're not allowed to investigate. All you can do is report it. And she's like, well, I keep reporting it, and he keeps coming back worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I kind of felt bad for the teacher in the beginning, but then they're interviewing this teacher, and she's obviously upset, and she's crying and this, and she's like, I didn't know what to do. I did everything I was allowed to do, but it got to the point where I was like, you know what, lady, your job was not more important than his life. Like at a certain point, you have to do whatever you can do. Forget your job. Forget the rules.
Literally step in.
The other parents, people would see this family in the grocery store and walk by this kid and like they interview these people and all the people say the same thing. It's like you can't believe it when you see it. And people would call the police and say, listen, I was just at the whatever, and such and such kid was in there, and somebody's got to go check on him or something. He's clearly being beaten. So the cops would go, and first of all, they wouldn't go for, a day, 2 days later, whatever. They have all these reports. A couple of times in a row, the cops showed up at the house at 2 a.m. on a report that was called in at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Knock on the door, no answer. That's all the report stated. Showed up at 2 a.m., knocked on door, no answer. And that was it. They would never go back. And then one time, the mom did answer the door, and the cop goes, yeah, we received a call that, an accusation of abuse here against your son. And this is in the notes of the police. The mom looks at the cop and goes, no, everything's fine. And the cop basically goes, okay, have a nice evening, ma'am, and leaves. Doesn't ask to see the kid, nothing. And then all these social workers in and out of that house, and they tell you what the social workers are supposed to do, like, if there's any sign of harm or whatever, there's a certain doctor's office they're supposed to take them to, and just nobody did anything. It was just, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and you're like, how can these people live with themselves?
Yeah, so tons of people dropped the ball on that one.
Things as simple as the mother showing up at the food stamp office, and there's a security guard that works there. And the family walks by this security guard, and the same thing. The security guard is like, you see this child, and it doesn't seem real. Like, I had never seen these people before. I didn't know them. one look at this child, and I could not believe what I was seeing. And so they do their thing at the food stamp office or whatever, and they leave. The security guard immediately goes up to the window to the teller or whatever they call them there that helped that family and goes, "Did you see that? Did you see that boy?" And the lady was like, "Yeah, I can't believe that." And the security guard's like, you have to do something. You're a mandated reporter. What do we do? And the teller's like, "Well, let me call back to my supervisor and see what she thinks we should do." Now, this food stamp office is contracted out to a private company, so it's not ran by the government. It's ran by a private company. You can buy stock in this company. The teller calls back to her supervisor, tells him what happened. The supervisor says, "Well, it's 4:45. We close at 5. We just don't have time, and I'm not sending in for overtime."
Damn.
And there's 100 stories like that over the course of this documentary where at every turn people are just, if you don't want to take the time to watch it, and this is for anybody, watch the first 20 minutes of episode number 1. The show starts by telling the story of the night he actually died.
Oh, so this is not just a one show documentary.
No, this is like
multiple.
this is about 8 episodes long. It would take you a day or two to watch it. But it starts out the night he died and is brought into the ER, and they're interviewing a trauma nurse. And it's about the first 10 or 15 minutes of episode 1, and she describes what she saw and what they did and what, the injuries that he had.
Mm-hmm.
You could, I told Mrs. Lou after we got done watching the whole thing, I said, we could have turned that off after the first 20 minutes and I would still be angry. Now, the more you watch, the angrier you will get. But to hear her describe the condition that he was in when they brought him in, and again, the whole time they're showing the father. So like I'm sure people are listening. They can't believe what they're hearing. It's even worse when you're watching it because you're seeing this guy, this 6'4", 270-pound man, and you're seeing this little kid, 4'2", 57 pounds, and they're describing all the things that they did to this kid, and it just makes you. But again, the thing that makes you angry is all these people that had you're like if this person just would have gone one step further than the bare minimum. And I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, and I compared it to most people are familiar with the Jerry Sandusky situation at Penn State. Well, years before this came out, he was caught in the act by an assistant coach at Penn State, right? The assistant coach walked into the locker room, saw Jerry Sandusky in the shower with an 8-year-old boy, turned around and walked away. Legally, all he was required to do was inform his supervisor, which he did. But the point is, how do you see something like that and all you do is the bare minimum? How can you live with imagine walking in and seeing that?
No, dude, I'm just telling you, if that's me, there's going to be something bare happening. It's going to be me putting my bare hands on the son of a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, I don't listen. I'm a teeny guy. I don't know. But I would have to get my ass whipped. Like that's what it would take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not turning around and walking away from that. How can you?
Yeah.
How can you? How can you see that? in this documentary, now this kid was not sexually abused. That was never alleged in the documentary in any way. Anyway, this was all just physical abuse. So and in no way am I trying to compare one or the other or this situation worse than that. I'm purely just making an example of how can you see something, and all you do is the bare minimum required by law. How can you live with yourself? And in this documentary, there was 50 people who knew all of these things that were going on, and all they did was the bare minimum, and the ball was dropped all along the way. And it gets to the point where you're watching this movie where you go, you know what, I hope this kid dies.
That's terrible.
Because that's the best possible scenario for this kid, because nobody is doing anything to help him. Nobody, no, and they know.
How much actual footage and pictures of the kid do they use?
They don't. They show a lot of pictures of the kid's injuries, but they don't show the worst stuff.
Okay, good.
But like the teacher has class photos that she shows. You know how you have picture day at school?
Yeah.
And you're
sure.
looking at this kid and you're like, and keep in mind, and the teacher even says this, he would be out of school for 2 weeks. And the teacher knew why, because what was happening is they were beating the shit out of him, and he was so beat up that they felt like they couldn't send him to school or they would get in trouble. Even 2-3 weeks later, when the kid would come back to school, eyes so swollen he could barely open them. BVD, this kid was covered head to toe in cigarette burns. Head to toe.
God.
Head to toe. Towards the end, they put the autopsy doctor or whatever that is called on the stand at the trial.
Mm-hmm.
Every rib was broken. Now some of them were healed. So over a 2-3 year period, this is why the guy was charged with torture. Every rib had been broken in this kid. Every joint in his body was swollen. Every knuckle, ankles, knees, wrists. I can't describe it to you. But even the school picture, the class picture, and they would zoom in on him, you could not have looked at this kid and not known. These people are dead now, right? I'm hoping. The kid is. But
no, I mean the parents.
No,
were they put to death?
No, the father was convicted and he did get the death penalty. But you know how this goes.
Yeah, he's going to be on
for
death
40
row.
years. Yeah. And the mother took a plea deal, life in prison without the possibility of parole, so she'll never get out. But she's in prison forever.
I would imagine, not that prison life, is fun for anybody, but surely and hopefully, those other inmates in there are making their life in prison an absolute hell. But the problem with the death row is they can't touch that guy.
And that's what I told Miss Lou too. I said, I wish they wouldn't have given this guy the death penalty. I said, because of appeals and everything else, and he'll be there for 40 years. I said, I wish they would just stick this guy in general population. I said, because prisoners might not be the most upstanding citizens on the face of the earth, but they have a code.
Mm-hmm.
And they
got morals, believe it or not.
Oh, he won't last a day. He will, and I'm going to be honest. I don't think I think if knowing what he did, I think anybody that comes in contact with that guy and doesn't do something to him is there's something wrong with you. You cannot know what he did. The father, the kid's actual father, and he wasn't the greatest guy either. He was in jail while all this abuse was going on. Because this was the mother's boyfriend.
Right.
But the guy's father, he was in jail when all the abuse happened and when the kid died. But by the time the trials come around, he's out. And he's in the courtroom every single day. And they interview him. And the prosecutor of the case talks about how he feels responsible, and they try to make him a sympathetic figure or whatever. I don't know what he was in jail or prison for, so I don't know if he's a good or a bad guy or whatever. He clearly wasn't around when his son needed him the most. But I don't see how that guy sat there. You can be the worst one of the worst people on planet Earth. I don't see how that guy sat in that courtroom day after day listening to the things that guy did to his son, and he's 10, 15 feet away from him. I mean, it will, like I said, I'll watch things and be like, oh, yeah, that's wrong. You know, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I have never felt the way I felt as I did when I got done watching that
I don't know if you're
documentary
looking
this
at
past weekend. I was so mad. And Mrs. Lou used to be a before she works where she works now, she used to work with she didn't work for DFAX. She owned her own business, but DFAX would contract her company out to do some different things with kids. And so she's seen some, she's seen some bad stuff.
right.
And she
I don't
even
know if
said,
you're
I've never seen anything. Like my wife has dealt with kids who were kept in a box or something. Okay, this kid was kept in a box. She's dealt with kids who were physically beaten. Okay, this kid was physically beaten. She's dealt with kids who were not given enough to eat. Okay, but she's never seen anything where all of this stuff was done. She's never seen anything like it. It made me. I can't tell you how mad. Now there's nothing what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. But I stood up when that thing was over, and I was like, you want to do something. Like, it made me, I cannot tell you how mad it made me.
Yeah, you're doing a pretty good job telling us yourself. And I don't know if you're looking at the comments. Jordan Bowman, I guess Jordan and Jeff are having a little conversation about it. I agree with Jordan. He says it's still just temporary punishment. I guess he's talking about death, maybe. I think life in prison does more punishment than killing them. And that would be true if it's like me and Lou were talking about, where they're in general population. I've always said, and I'm sure other people have had these same kind of thoughts, I think people like these people, there should be a facility out in the desert or somewhere where people like this are put in, I don't know, we'll just call it a 5,000 acre compound where there's absolutely no possible way they can get out of it, with no food, no water, and like hang meat around their neck and put them in there with grizzly bears and wolves, and let nature take its course. That would be, to me, that would be somewhat appropriate punishment, but even that, they'd probably get killed too quick. I know the whole eye for an eye thing, two wrongs don't make a right, but damn it, people like this need to suffer. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion.
I mean, this guy was clearly guilty. He didn't even plead not guilty. Now he pled guilty to second-degree murder, which is not premeditated, because he was trying to avoid the death penalty. But he didn't fool anybody. So he admit all this stuff that I said. Like, he admits it. He doesn't deny any of it. So clearly he was guilty. And I don't really want to spend another hour talking about the death penalty, but I don't think the state is responsible enough to decide who lives and dies. This guy was clearly guilty. But how many? If 10 innocent people are put to death over a 10-year period, is that too many? I think one is too many. I'm just not. So I just don't think the state is responsible enough to be deciding who should live and who should die when it comes to. So it's not even really a moral thing with me. I just don't trust the state. In this case, this is a clear-cut case. The problem is every single person the state tells you should be put to death, they think is a clear-cut case. And it's just been proven too many times that that's not the case. As long as there's hundreds of people a year getting released from jail and prison because it's been proved that evidence was planted, or DNA proves they weren't guilty for a crime. These people have been in jail since the 70s, and there's no DNA testing, and now they're getting out. So this guy was clearly guilty. And listen, like I said, it's not a moral thing. If somebody that knew what was going on had showed up at this kid's house and beat that guy to death, I would have no problem with it. No problem with it. So it's not a moral thing with me. So I don't even want to get into a left versus right or a biblical thing of an eye for an eye. That has nothing to do with my stance on the issue. I don't trust the state to tell me who deserves to live or die. I just don't. When I say the state, I'm not talking about any state in particular. I just mean the government in general. I don't trust them to decide who lives and dies. That's my issue with the death penalty. Like I said, I don't want to spend an hour talking about that. That's not really the point. If somebody would have took it upon themselves to take this guy out, whether it be in prison or, like I said, somebody that knew what was going on, caught this guy ahead of time, I would have had no problem with that. None at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, preferably it would have been while it was going on, because obviously prison's too late. I mean, it's kind of surprising that somebody didn't take care of the dude. Really, I mean, but now you've got me wondering. Now
Yeah,
I'm gonna
like
have to
like
decide whether or not I'm going to watch this.
I couldn't turn it off when I was watching it, but it's one of those things where when it's over, you're just like, I can't believe I wish I wouldn't have watched that almost, because I felt helpless. I'm serious, BVD. I don't know if I know for a fact I've never been that angry over anything I've seen on the TV.
Yeah.
in that kind of. I remember when Newtown happened. I was angry. That's probably the closest amount of angry I've ever been, was when somebody thought it was a good idea to take an AR-15 into an elementary school and kill 20 first graders.
Yeah. I do not vodka drinker. He's asking me if I remember Channing Christopher Newsom, unless you're talking about, there was a case here in Greenville a few years back where I'm probably going to misquote this, but there were infants involved and parents torturing them. Same kind of shit. And I'm not to that level, because these were, like I said, either infants or very young kids. And what the fuck is wrong with people, man? God. What are we going to do, Lou? What are we going to do? How can we solve this?
We got to change the subject, though.
Yeah.
People are getting...
Your blood pressure's up.
Well, that, and people are tired of hearing about it in the comment section.
Yeah,
I get it, too. So, let me, you know what I haven't done today? I have not even went to ESPN or Yahoo Sports or anything like that to see if there's even anything college football related worth talking about. Oh! I'm sure you heard this news. Alabama is now built by Indiana.
Yes, I actually saw that this morning, right
amazing.
Before I got on here.
That is amazing. Alabama adds new strength coach from Indiana. So congratulations, Alabama fans. You're now built by Indiana. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's try to keep that in mind if we can.
Apparently, Scott Cochran wasn't getting the job done at Bama the last couple of years, according to some.
Yeah. Well, they got this guy Ballou now, and he's an Indiana man. So he's an Indiana man. Woo.
I remember how them Hoosiers pushed Tennessee around in that bowl game. Not.
Oh, what about this? They're proposing a 2-minute limit on all replays in college football. I am all for that.
Mm-hmm.
I am all
Something
for that.
Also about targeting, guys that get hit with targeting, not forced to leave the field of play. In other words, they don't have to go to the locker room. They can stay on the sidelines. That's one of the rule changes I heard this morning.
What else is here? Oh, Middleton is that guy's name for Tennessee, so I don't know if that rings a bell. He only started 6 games. I remember reading that. So it seems like maybe he wasn't like really a starter. Maybe he started 6 games due to injury or something. It said he started 6 and played in all 13, but Middleton is his name, defensive lineman for Tennessee. Arrested on whatever some kind of assault charge, whatever it was.
Yeah, he was a bad boy. Shouldn't have done it. Hey, something else we haven't mentioned this morning, Lou. If you in the comments or listening would like to be a co-host on the morning show with Lou and BBD, it's a very simple process. All you got to do is email us at Lou and BBD, spelled out LOUANDBBD, at gmail.com, and we will get back to you promptly.
Good point.
And there's plenty of good seating available.
Yeah, March is starting to fill in though, so email us and let us know what day would work for you before we run out of spots. And something that's sort of sad, BVD, I'm going to put the sponsorship, where the sponsorship thing is supposed to be up on the screen. Unfortunately, there's nothing there. Calendar turned to March. Shout out to Celine Driver. He sponsored the show most of February. But we need a new one. So same email address, louandbvd@gmail.com. Sponsor the morning show. Show some love. Yeah, you need to. Almost anyone can do it. The Big 12 guy can't. Big 12 genius or whatever his name is. He can't do it. But almost anyone else can. There's an article here that says college football playoff breakdown and early look at top contenders. Let me click on this and see what kind of propaganda they're spewing on here about this now.
I think, Lou, we need to time General out. He's promoting another channel on here, Lou. We can't have that.
Oh, man. There's 24 hours in a day. What if someone spends some of that time watching another channel? That would just be...
That'd be stupid. Counterproductive, even.
Shout out to the lip licker. Let's see what they have to say here. They've got Alabama. Alabama sidesteps some staff uncertainty. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. Mac Jones, 3-1 last year. The Tide lost significant talent on defense, but there won't be any shortage of motivation after missing the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Biggest obstacle to the playoff for Alabama. Well, this should be no surprise. Georgia. September 19th versus Georgia. A loss against the SEC East favorites won't keep Alabama out of the playoff, but it will make for an extremely pressure-packed November that includes a road trip to LSU, Texas A&M, and the Iron Bowl. If Alabama beats Georgia and meets the Bulldogs again in the SEC title game, it could be difficult for Alabama to win twice, or it could open the door for both to finish in the top four. So that's what they have to say about Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson has to replace 4 starters on the O-line, and for the first time in 6 seasons, Tony Elliott will be the sole offensive coordinator, as former co-coordinator Jeff Scott was hired at South Florida in December. But they still have Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. The Tigers should again be overwhelming favorite to win the ACC and reach the college football playoff for the 6th year in a row. Biggest obstacle for the Tater? November 7th at Notre Dame. That is going to be a big game, BVD, because
it is.
Not that we don't have big games every November, we do, but they're usually games we see every year because that's when conference matchups are, whatever, Auburn, Alabama, whatever. You see them every November. Now, I know Notre Dame is like doing the 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing in the ACC, so they play 5 ACC teams a year, but they don't always play Clemson, So this is a huge game here. Clemson at Notre Dame, November 7th. And, a lot of people hate Notre Dame, and I'm no fan of Notre Dame either, but Notre Dame will be a good team again in 2020.
Yeah, that'll be a
will
challenge.
Will they be top 10? I don't know, but I would bet that they're a top 15 team. Like, they're not a terrible team. They people love to hate on them. I do too, but they're a top 15 team. I mean, they've got a lot of talent. What have they lost? They've lost 2 regular season games total in the last 2 years. I mean, that's not bad.
They're packing plenty enough of a punch to give Clemson a run for the money, especially up at the Dome. It is at Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. So, and I'm sure it'll be at night probably. November 7th, it'll be cold. So yeah, I don't know. I think that is an interesting game. I clearly think Clemson's a better team than Notre Dame, but
and it shouldn't be too much of a home field advantage for Clemson either. I think they might even get a few Notre Dame fans to show up for that game.
Well, the Tater don't travel like Georgia does, so
Ah,
there will be mostly Notre Dame fans there. I would
uh,
assume. But that is a huge game in November that we don't normally get. We get these games usually in the first couple of weeks of the season when you're doing these kickoff classics, and you guys play Oklahoma in week 3 this year. You see a lot of these games in September. We don't usually get one like this in November, so that'll be interesting there.
There's another huge game in November as well, Lou. Something about some Bulldogs and some Vols.
Oh, that's right. Because we can't play Auburn in November because that wouldn't be fair. So we have to play y'all instead now. That's going to be a little weird, isn't it? I know the Georgia-Tennessee game being played where it has been played for a long time doesn't have nearly the significance of the third Saturday in October thing that you guys have going with Alabama. But it is a little weird when you've been playing a team basically the same week of the year after year after year after year, and it gets moved. So that will be a little strange, won't it, watching Georgia and Tennessee play in November?
It will. We have to play Missouri early in the year too. Not that will be like, something amazingly strange, but we have been playing them. It's basically we flip-flop the two teams. And I've heard for years, Tennessee fans for years, well, in Florida, you better be glad we don't play you in November. Well, we're about to find out how much that means. Not with Florida, of course, but I've been hearing that shit my whole life.
Yeah.
You
want to trigger some Gump fans, BVD?
Why not?
It's always fun to do, right? Third on the list here for ESPN, Georgia. Let's see. Not even Georgia knows exactly what its offense will look like. New offensive coordinator, new quarterback. Biggest obstacle to playoff for Georgia? Florida. Type. But I'm not making it up. That is what it says. Biggest obstacle to playoff for Georgia is October 31st versus Florida. It does go on to say, yes, the most difficult game will be the September 19th trip to Alabama, but Georgia can lose that game and still have a chance to avenge that loss
that's
in the SEC
not as
title
critical.
game. Right. Let's see. It's not going to be as easy as the preseason predictions might lead you to believe. Georgia has defeated its SEC East rival 3 straight years, but on paper, Florida might be more deserving of the label of preseason favorite in its division. The Gators returns 12 starters from last season's 11-win team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting down at SEC Media Days which one of you guys gets picked. I think it's pretty clear, who the top 3 should be this year in the East. It'll just be a matter of, which one of you guys is first and second.
What will the committee like about Georgia? Its schedule. Georgia has crossover games with Alabama and Auburn and 2 Power 5 non-conference opponents in Virginia and Georgia Tech. Georgia could have an edge when measured against another contender with a similar record. The committee will not like Georgia if they go 0-2 versus the West. Not only would losses to Alabama and Auburn put Georgia in a serious hole before November, it would force the Bulldogs to win the SEC with 2 conference losses. Just getting to the title game would be tough and put Georgia in a must-win situation against the Gators. Plus, if Georgia can at least split against the West, that regular season resume might not look as impressive. And I agree with that. First of all, I don't think Georgia can win the East without beating Florida. The reason is I don't
it's a 2-game hole.
Yeah, I don't think Florida is going to lose 2 games in the SEC not against Georgia. So, in other words, if Florida beats Georgia, Florida would have to lose 2 other SEC games for Georgia to win the East. And, so you say, okay, maybe LSU, but who else? If Florida's good enough to beat Georgia, they're not going to lose to South Carolina or Kentucky or Vandy or Mizzou or Ole Miss. I mean, that's who they play, So I think Georgia has to beat Florida to win the East, regardless of what happens against Alabama.
Clearly, you need to go ahead and pencil in Florida a loss against Tennessee, right? So,
well, yes. So Florida then would be 11-1 with a loss to Tennessee. Georgia would be probably 11-2. or not 11-2, 10-2. If that if it played out that way with losses to Alabama and 9-3, lost to Tennessee.
Yeah,
too. How about
lost
that?
to Tennessee. Yeah, I wondered if you were going to
Clearly.
catch yourself there or not.
Yeah. Ohio State, they got them listed here. Justin Fields is back. 5 other offensive starters. There's a reason for optimism, but the defense is a legitimate question. Biggest obstacle in the playoff.
Is it really?
At Penn State. That is going to be a good game. I'm high on Penn State this year, BVD. I'm just warning you now. Instead of putting all my chips in the Michigan basket for no reason, just to be disappointed later in the season, I'm going to do that with Penn State this year. I'm going to let Penn State be the team that disappoints me this year. I'm going to put my money behind Penn State.
Okay.
So just so everyone knows.
Well, they've been a letdown the last few years against the Buckeyes.
They've got Oklahoma on here. I'm not even going to read anything about Oklahoma. I put them on a playoff ban.
Yeah.
They've got Penn State on here. I'm kind of surprised. I thought I was the only one that was sort of that high. They've got Texas on here. Biggest obstacle at LSU. And then, of course, the Oklahoma game. They actually have Texas A&M on here. Texas A&M is ranked 8th BVD in the FPI right now, preseason. That is way too high, isn't it?
Putting an awful lot of faith in Jimbo.
Yeah. I mean,
did that last year, didn't they?
Yeah. I do think that Texas A&M is a better team than the record indicated last year. But the thing is, at some point, you've got to beat some good teams. Like, I get it that your schedule was hard. Okay, they lost to Clemson, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, and Auburn. All right, so yeah, they were 7-5 with 5 losses to top 15 teams. So I get it.
Well,
those are good losses, but if you're a good team, you've got to beat some of those, even if you don't beat them all. You got to go 10-2 at some point and win some of those games against top 15 teams.
I forget which coach it was that was popular and famous for saying this, but you are what your record says you are, regardless of, we were the best 5-loss team in the country.
Right.
Well, guess what? You still lost 5 games.
Yeah. South Carolina was the best 8-loss team in the country.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
They've got Wisconsin on here. Anyway, it's an interesting article, and I sort of just skipped over it. If you guys are more interested in more, they have a lot more detail on each team than what I read off there. But if you go to ESPN.com's college football page, it's the first article they have up there. But anyway, maybe that's a good time to sort of wind it down.
Yeah, I was going to say it's about that time of the day.
Yeah, we're working 1 minute overtime right now.
Oh,
so I'll send the paperwork into YouTube. Make sure we get paid. Don't worry.
Well,
am I behind on super chats too? Let's see.
I think you did miss 1 or 2.
So many humans, yet so little humanity. That's true, Jarvis S. It never ceases to amaze me what one human being will do to another. Celine Driver says, can I sponsor again in a couple of months? No. Of course you can.
Your money's no good here.
Yeah, of course you can. To the Big 12 guy, because I don't think he's watching. Well, I know he's not watching. How do I know that? Well, he's 14. Because he told me he was 14 in an email. We can't accept. I don't even know what the rules are with YouTube or legally. But I can tell you right now, I'm not accepting sponsorship money from a 14-year-old just to get an email from someone's mother. So it's nothing against the Big 12 genius personally or otherwise. It's just he wanted to sponsor the show or some kind of way. I don't even remember. Anyway, I sort of got the impression that he was on the younger side, so I just straight up asked him, or me and BVD did, how old he was. And
I was on the verge of making him show us some ID.
Yeah, and so I had to email him and let him know that we can't do that. He's 14.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't even really care what the rules or the laws are. I'm not gonna accept money from a 14-year-old like that, just to have their parents email me later. Celine Driver says, BVD, define promptly in your mind for replies.
When I get to it. which here lately has been pretty prompt.
Anytime I get ready to reply to an email, I do it promptly.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, how long does it take me to get around to being about to do it? But once I'm about to do it, the reply is prompt.
Oh, once the email is open, once we pull up Gmail, it's as prompt as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
Can't get any more promptly.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, wouldn't you?
I would say that. Quick update on that Z-Man guy too from last Thursday night. He has yet to show up here, so I will keep you guys informed.
Oh, that's right.
But so far he hasn't showed up. So I know he said he was going to Grovetown, which is 10 minutes from here. So I told him to get his mom, drop him off, whatever. Make sure to send him with a sandwich or something too. But so far I haven't seen him, but I'll keep you guys updated. Any last words today, BBD, before we sign off for the day?
Absolutely. I like pepperoni and sausage.
And pay for it.
Yeah, really. What the hell's wrong with you people?
If you're going to send this man a pizza, pay for it. Come on. What is it, $20 or something?
Have a little decency about you.
For $20, you can send that man a pizza. I'm going to make a commercial. I'll put it on we'll play it during the morning show. But you know those commercials like where it's got some poor kid and there's a fly on his eyeball, and for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can save this kid's life or something. So, for $20, you can send.
It don't even have to be $20, man.
Well, that's about the cost to get a pizza delivered, to be honest.
Most pizza places have a $10 minimum.
Yeah, a $10 minimum, and so the pizza's $12.99. The tax makes it $15. The delivery charge they tack on makes it $18.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
And then the tip makes it $20. So it's hard it's hard to get a pizza delivered for less than $20. At least
it is.
Here it is. $20 is about the minimum you're going to spend for one pizza here.
Yeah, definitely don't order from Pizza Hut because they will not deliver to this house anymore. I've made sure of that.
Dang. BVD has been blacklisted.
No, I did that myself.
Yep. Oh, man. All right. Hey, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. I love beating this dead horse, but I absolutely love this morning show. I have so much fun with this thing. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big shout out to everybody who supported the show this morning through the Super Chat feature. Celine Driver, Waikiki, Shane Bentley, Slim Shady, Hendrick 588, Boxers R Us, Jarvis S. Thank you so much for choosing to support the channel that way. It means a lot to me and BVD. So thank you all for doing that. And a big shout out to everybody in the comments section who stuck around to the end this morning. Matt Dummett, Jordan Bowman, Bama Mike, Melissa May, Snake Spence, Mr. MVPs, Dago, Dennis Wilson, Big Man Racing, Pinecone, Snake Spencer, Bartholomew Bob, Paul S., Richard Holton, Gator Hater, Tyler P., Thomas, Jasper, Jr., Tom, Mike Leach's Pet Sasquatch, Melissa May, Kevin Cook. Really, really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Me and BVD have a ball doing this. Yes, I'm speaking for BVD because we talk off the air, and I know he has a good time with these shows too. So,
yep.
Right, BVD?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, these shows are a lot
outstanding.
Of fun.
Even we do have a lot of fun.
It's hard to explain. Yes, I love college football, and I've often thought to myself, man, I could talk college football 24 hours a day. Well, turns out I can't. I do get burned out on the college football talk, and having this show in the morning that I feel like I can talk about non-college football related things and people not get mad about it, because that's what happens sometimes with the night shows, or even when I used to make videos just to upload that were non-football related, it would just be a lot of comments, stick to football, that kind of thing. And I feel like with this show, the expectation has been set, and people know when they click on this show now that, yeah, they're going to get a little bit of sports talk, but that's not really the focus of this morning show. And it's helped me in a lot of ways. I really think it's made it's helped me with the football videos because I really do get burned out with college football sometimes. It's hard to explain, and I never thought that would be the case, but it is the case. So having this to sort of break up the monotony of feeling like I have to talk about college football all the time has really been a blessing for me. So I really appreciate you guys supporting this show like you have.
Other than breathing, there's not a lot of things that that we do all day, every day, that are a whole lot of fun all the time. And if you put just a little bit of thought into that, it'll make some sense.
Yeah.
Always making you think here. If you didn't learn something this morning, come back Wednesday and we'll teach you something. I'm just about sure of it.
That's right. Thanks for joining us for this morning's edition of Tales from the Stupid. Me and BVD. I'm going to sign off now so I can ponder what BVD just said there at the end. But again, Thank all of you for watching. It really means a lot. And we will see you again Wednesday morning. Have a good one.
Outstanding.
out.